schools several different times in partnering with North Adams to provide early and timely intervention for our kids who are struggling with mental health or just behavior regulation, whether it's giving us ideas of things that we can try or providing services in the school. So Adams Behavioral Health does provide counselors. They are, we have skills coaches from other places, but Baltimore has worked really diligently and has been really successful when a lot of folks haven't been able to maintain therapists, and we have a couple that come regularly to the schools to meet with our students. I don't know exactly how many we're meeting with, but we are maxed out almost immediately every fall. His responsibilities and advocacy is very far-reaching, and we want to say thank you for staying in our community, for staying in tune with the needs of our community and looking for ways to help provide individuals and families with hope and light during times that can feel very hopeless and dark when you're struggling with mental health, addiction, trauma, all the things that we see our kids and families struggling with. Helping kids be diagnosed and receive quality counseling and treatment early in their lives is so important to our vision of seeing our students be contributing citizens, good neighbors, and simply healthy, happy individuals. And so we recognize just the impact that getting early intervention is, especially in the world of mental health. And so we appreciate you and your advocacy and your forward-thinking and visionary thought processes for helping continue that here in Decatur and for North Adams schools. And all that seems like small certificate.
Oh no, this is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
I didn't know if you had something. We're going to get a picture.
Okay.
Big smile.
There we go.
I didn't know if you wanted to say a few words. This is kind of your opportunity to
I
talk about mental health in our community and the importance of.
Yeah, I mean, I always encourage and advocate for mental health services in rural communities. It's very rare to have as many providers as Adams does. My team is a great team. I think without my team, we wouldn't be as successful, so it just takes all of us together. We try our very best to meet as many needs as, and it's not just Adams, but the surrounding counties, but it kind of, again, part of our role is to help promote mental health growth, work with those who are struggling with substance use disorders. And again, yeah, I think it's always just to keep going, keep moving forward, empower, I encourage resiliency. So yeah, I continue to, my plan is to retire with Adams Behavioral Health, and I know when Kim mentioned we have some long-standing therapists. I think, so I'm going to be 20 years. I have another therapist that's worked there for, I think she's going on 23 years. So we have longevity, and I think, again, it's our team, it's we love our community, and we want to do what's best for it. So yeah, thank you guys for this.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you want to stay for the rest of this
I was like,
thrilling meeting.
Thank you.
Next up is public comment on agenda items. And with no public, I think we can move on. Consensus items.
I don't really have anything additional to report on this. It's like the gentleman sitting over there came and told me, you guys don't have a lot of action happening in consensus items tonight.
Not tonight.
They're wearing much, they have it locked in by the end of the So really nothing to comment on tonight.
Okay. Any questions or comments or motion to approve consensus items?
I'll make a motion to approve the consensus items as presented.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Wiley. Motion by Michelle, seconded by Wiley to approve the consensus items as presented. All those in favor announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0.
The program update tonight, Laura is going to have to reschedule. She had a family appointment that ran over, so she is going to come probably to another month. But I don't know, Tiffany, did you have anything that you wanted to talk about? Because I know that, did you want any iRead information to go over with the board again, or?
Oh, we are having iRead parent meetings. Renee and I tentatively for second and third grade parents. and those are scheduled for Thursday evening. Of course, we have an awesome weather front that's coming, so be on the lookout for what that will look like. But we're gonna go over the updates to iRead, especially for those current third graders, the amazing things that our teachers have been doing to prepare our students, as well as for our second grade families, let them know what we have that we're working on now, as well as how we're going to be supporting the kids who may not pass in second grade to get them ready for that third grade iRead test. So that's also this week.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, for old business, we have policy 7455, the second reading.
So again, this was the policy that just makes kind of things a little bit more efficient. Kind of you're seeing in the legislature, some of those deregulation bills of not having to do as many reports for as many things. This is kind of one of those situations where this policy allows us, if we increase the threshold amount from 5,000 to 10,000 on what we have to do for some of the reporting we have to do for capital assets, I believe. That's correct, yeah. So it just, again, less paperwork for Bev, less things that we have to put on that capital asset schedule if we increase that threshold from 5,000 to 10,000.
Okay. Any questions or comments or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jill, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Joel. Motion by Jill, seconded by Joel to approve policy number 7455. All those in favor announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0. Under next is our new business, and the first item is approval of the MOU with the ABA.
So there have been a lot of progression happening in the last decade, probably with, they call them RBT, I think it is, Jill, you're gonna be better, registered behavioral technicians.
Yeah, RBTs,
Mhm.
yes.
And so we have lots of MOUs with folks to come in and work with kids, but when it's the school that is semi within the agreement with the provider versus the parent being in the agreement, there are things we have to do to make sure that liabilities are covered, and you're often dealing with students who might have different eligibilities, and we have to be compliant with Article 7 and IDEA, and making sure that those two things don't end up basically not meeting our requirements in the school setting of meeting that child's IEP or 504 or whatever the case may be. So finally, it has taken a while, got with an attorney who has dealt with those kind of things before, because we are more than happy to have extra services come in to help kids who need them. We just needed to make sure that we were doing what we needed to do so that we were compliant with the laws that govern us, and they could do what they needed to do under their treatment plans, because it's a clinical person versus a school setting person. And again, I had Scott look at it. It's very thorough, I felt, and provides good coverage for everyone so that the kid can get what they need in the school setting. We can talk to each other, but the IEP part in Article 7 is separate from the treatment plan part.
So there can be sharing of information through this MOU?
Yes, about that student, yes.
Yeah.
And then there's also confidentiality clauses in there about they're obviously going to potentially see and hear things that involve other kids, and the expectation is if you're going to work in this system, then you keep those things to yourself, just like any other employee would. And they work in the world of confidentiality too, so.
Right.
I think it's really awesome that you guys are collaborating like that. Not every school district will make those, put those in place for families. And I did read through what you guys did, and looks fantastic. I just think it's really cool.
But it's different than we've done, so we kind of had to take a while to study it.
Yeah,
And so it took a while, and I hate that it took that amount of time, but it wasn't anything, again, things have changed in 10 years. 10 years ago, that was not necessarily something that we could do or did do in schools, and now it's just becoming more and more commonplace, and just trying to figure out how to make sure everybody's protected. Yeah.
That's great.
So excited about that.
Any other comments or questions or motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Wiley, is there a second? Seconded by Jill. Motion by Wiley, seconded by Jill to approve the MOU with the ABA. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0. Next up is the approval of summer school.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
It does not feel like summer.
Yeah.
So this year, again, we are planning to offer summer school, and there's a lot of schools that haven't been doing that, although the legislation has changed, and this is the first summer for those students who may be in danger of not passing iRead, that it is required as an option for those kids to get the interventions they might need. There is no compulsion on them having to attend. There are some things that would happen in the next fall if they don't, but again, I would recommend it for any child whose parent thinks they might be struggling or statistically might not be showing the growth they need toward meeting those iRead benchmarks. Again, the stakes are really high now with the potential for mandatory retention in third grade if you don't pass it by the end of that summer. So again, any intervention that you can get is worth it, and I would certainly encourage all those parents, any parent, to do that. My child's going to go through it whether he needs it or not, because it's not going to hurt him. So anyway, this year, their primary funding is going to make sure that for second and third grade ELA intervention, that is provided, and then we're still applying for summer programming for our high school. It's more of a credit recovery approach for students who have gotten behind in credits or need to make up the credits so that they can stay in their cohort for graduation. And then additionally, it looks like we have some preschool to grade 5 as well if we have interest, and again, the funding is there. We are still waiting on what exactly that's going to look like. Do you have anything else, Tiffany, on that one?
No, I think that there are a lot of questions with the funding formula, and a lot of schools are having to jump into the world of summer school because they haven't provided that in the past. So I do think that our staff has a really good plan in place, and we're excited to do that with the kids. It looks a little different, but we are really intentional. So it gives me hands-on experience in the summer that you don't necessarily get in the classroom during the school year.
What are the dates of summer school this year? When are they going again?
If it's approved tonight, it would be June 2nd through the 27th.
27th?
Mhm.
Okay, for 1 month, okay.
Mhm.
June 2nd to 27th.
And good.
Yeah.
So your approval tonight would give Tiffany the ability to submit our summer school plan to the state.
Okay. Any questions or comments or motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve as presented. I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Michelle, seconded by Darlene to approve the summer school as presented. All those in favor, announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0. Next up is the approval of the summer best rates.
And this will also be for the 25-26 school year as well. So we have been offering daycare now in the summer, and that is going to be something that will be contingent upon having enough enrollment to support the cost. But basically, this would run from Tuesday, May 27th to August 1st. The reason it's stopping right before school starts is because we do need those teachers and paras who supervise our daycare to be available to be in those teacher preparation days, because there's some essential trainings and things that legally they need to go through and practically they need to go through as well. So we always do take a moratorium week, June 30th to July 4th, just to give, again, those staff who kind of rotate through supervising it a break, and the rooms to get cleaned and things like that in summer. So let's see. We're going to share a sign up. Again, it's going to be kind of enrollment driven. Last year we were able to offer it and had enough enrollment to support that. It is contingent upon a minimum of 25 kids, and that will need to be confirmed by mid-April. And we will be contacting any parents who show an interest in that. The new rates starting this summer and into next year will be $145 per week or $29 a day for cancellation days. That's a little bit, that's a $5 increase, I think, around about.
And for the week?
10 for the week, which is still very affordable compared to just a couple of years ago I was paying for daycare.
Yeah.
And it's not. And again, those folks who qualify for On My Way vouchers or CCDF vouchers could still have it free or at a reduced rate.
And you said the minimum number would be 25?
Because we do supply all the snacks, food, and it's usually 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Oh, wow.
is the option. So to be able to support the staffing for it. um,
Any other questions or comments or
How many
motion?
kids were in it last summer?
How many, did you have a number when you were going through this last week?
What was the question?
How many students were in it last year? At enrollment, there were at least 20, I
Yes,
believe.
by the end, I
They-
think about 11 or 12.
Yeah, because as vacations happen, things like that. But- And I think that 25 number is probably a little bit, to provide a little bit of a cushion, because we did have, that's just what tends to happen. You do lose kids as the time goes on.
Sometimes family conditions change.
They do, they do. Especially with this economy, some
Mm.
folks
Yeah.
just struggle with the money, or somebody can stay home and watch them.
Any other questions or comments or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Wiley,
I'll second.
seconded by Joel. Motion by Wiley, seconded by Joel to approve those summer best rates. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0. Next up is permission to void outstanding checks from January 1st, 22 through December 31st, 2022.
So this one and the next one are basically the same thing. This is just giving Beth permission to void the checks that haven't been cashed from almost 3 years ago now. We followed the State Board of Account rules for trying to contact those folks and see what they could do to get them processed. And so this just says we've been unable to get any action taken, and so to keep our books balanced, this is just the legal process for allowing us to void them.
Are there a lot? No. Oh, okay. I just was curious, like,
This is my biggest pet peeve
Yeah.
ever, not cashing checks.
yeah,
Drives me nuts.
But it does happen.
yeah.
Checks get lost and they forget they have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, especially with so much online banking now. A lot
Yeah.
of people don't go to their physical bank
Mhm.
as often.
Yeah. Any questions, comments, or motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Michelle, is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Darlene. Motion by Michelle, seconded by Darlene to provide permission to void the outstanding checks from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. All those in favor, announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0. Next is the permission to void the outstanding ECA checks from the same time period.
So this is the same thing, it's just our extracurricular funds that are impacted. So that might be sports memorabilia or fundraisers or who knows what in that realm, donations, I don't know.
Okay. Any questions or comments or motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Motion by Wiley, seconded by Joel. Motion by Wiley, seconded by Joel to provide permission to void outstanding ECA checks from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0. Next up is the approval of the administrator salaries for the 24-25 school year.
So you approved the other in-house North Adams administrators a few months ago. This is for Abby West, who is the Director of Special Education for Adams Wells. And so we had been discussing her contract, and that got approved a little later than everyone else's. So as you can see in your notes, the Adams Wells Governing Board of the superintendents who comprise Adams Wells already approved for our part the raise and new contract, and so we are the LEA of Adams Wells, so then you as a board are the final business part of the approval.
Okay. Questions or comments or motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jill, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Darlene. Motion by Jill, seconded by Darlene to approve The administrator's salary is noted for 2024-2025. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0. Next up is the approval of agreement with Adams Memorial Hospital to provide speech therapy services.
So our local hospital has just been absolutely wonderful in helping support us in a variety of needs, and I'll talk about some of those more in my superintendent's report that happened recently. But you might not be aware, but there aren't that many speech language pathologists in the world, especially those able to sub. And we kind of had an odd schedule this year with our service needs, where a lot of our students are receiving kind of consultation minutes where it's just very brief little snippets. And so someone that we might be able and have contracted with previously is a virtual speech pathologist, but when you're really doing a 5 or 10 minute pullout outside the classroom of a student, and that's where a lot of our minutes were happening, that wasn't going to work for a virtual. So I reached out to Scott Smith at the hospital, and he put us in contact with his therapy department, and they came in and met with our elementary principal and speech department. And so some of their speech language pathologists are going to come here when our staff member is on leave, and actually come in and do a lot of the testing for our students that are up for testing, and the case conferences and paperwork associated with all that, which is going to free up our SLPAs, which are the assistant SLPs, and then our one other speech language pathologist to work on doing the service minutes. So that is a huge benefit to us, and honestly will be a cost savings in the end to what it has costed us to have to do a virtual. It's a pretty high hourly rate, and then we also have to hire a full-time para to basically supervise the students who are on the virtual lessons too. So very thankful that they were willing to work with us, because we were running out of options.
That's great.
Any-
Sounds like a good fit.
It does, yeah, it's really nice that they're doing that.
It is.
Any questions or comments or a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Michelle, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jill. Motion by Michelle, seconded by Jill to approve the agreement with Adams Memorial to provide speech therapy services. All those in favor announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 6-0. Next up is the superintendent's report.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't give you an update on our second annual Legends Day now. So for those of you who
That
weren't
was
on the
great.
board, they're now 5th graders, but they were 4th graders last year, and they put together a very moving, I think Joel, your son's one of them, isn't he?
No, he's not.
He's
No,
not?
He's not, but he's very happy about it.
I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's, okay, yeah, I know. Anyway, 3 4th grade boys last year prepared a very moving and convincing presentation that they gave to their assistant principal, me, and then the board last year about why we should not have to have students at school the day after the Super Bowl. It was really going to be detrimental to their academic achievement because they would be overtired, and they very much value their grades. And so we moved our 3rd flex day, which has usually been the week before, to this day after the Super Bowl now. So the staff didn't get it all, but the kids did. And so it's been a fun thing, and really, they did a really nice job. And I think, so they said that they would be the legends of Belmont Elementary if they got this through. So we call it Legends Day.
It was a lot of fun. That was really a neat thing that they did.
It was. And they're, I think if you've seen social media, I think Justin took a picture of them this year, and their parents all had them jerseys made with their graduation year on it. So it was
Cool.
very cute.
Yeah.
So yesterday we did have our 3rd and last for this year, waiver day. I presented to both staffs on reunification and relocation for about an hour each, just updates on what happened from last year and things we were going to change. And since we all did it in real time last year, this year's a refresher. Next year will be probably more of a walkthrough with staff. And we have some big plans going there, but a lot of other work happened with, I'm probably going to forget some things. So now that artificial intelligence is a thing that is here, I know Tiffany and Laura Christner have been working on an artificial intelligence acceptable use policy that you'll be seeing parts of soon. I'm sure they were getting staff input yesterday on, they had developed a draft policy, what do you think, where are the holes, and as well as then they did some training with some different teacher leaders about this is how you can make AI work for you in the classroom as a teacher, because it is a time-saving tool, and teachers need to know how to use it for that, just as we need to know how students might use it appropriately and maybe not appropriately. But a lot of what we've been reading and hearing about is it's here. We need to learn how it's going to be integrated into learning and be able to put practices in place that encourage it when it's useful and appropriate, and then again, be very direct and explicit when it's not appropriate, because it really would forego what the learning exercise in certain situations. And I'm sure Wiley at higher ed, you guys
I
will probably
have
have all
policy in my
kinds.
syllabus.
Just for curiosity, what is PFW, what kind of, in the School of Education, what do they kind of look at AI?
Actually, a lot of that's still being worked through, but the main thing is to give credit that you, or identify that you've used AI. And you used it to review your work, or, I mean, if you put just major thoughts into it, what comes out is still your thoughts, but the wording many times is improved from what you might think to do.
Yeah.
I actually, yesterday, I had a difficult letter to write to a student, and I wrote the letter, but then I ran it through ChatGPT. And it gave me some words that I appreciated more than what I had used. It was still my letter, but it was, done.
Sure.
Better.
So I think that's where it is very useful.
Yeah.
And the importance that students understand that they need to start with their own original work. We'll also use it like in developing a research topic. You're not exactly sure where you want to go, but you put some topic ideas into it, and then it can give you some directions with that. So.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of resources out there now that use it. And again, it is an efficiency tool if used correctly. It can be something that gets you in trouble if you don't. But-
Criminally.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, because you
It's
can be
always
accused of
listening.
plagiarism. I mean, it
Yeah,
can
no,
be
it's
plagiarism.
Yes.
And there's software for your work to go through that it will pick up, but you've got to be careful with that because it's not always accurate. It may identify that you've used AI. Well, maybe you have, but, anyways, you just have to be careful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some other things that they went through were looking at our iLearn and iRead data, and Renee's been rolling out a lot, kind of progressively she's big on data monitoring, and so the staff have kind of grade level by grade level been doing some very kind of daily data monitoring on some of our OG skills, at least in the primary grades, and focusing on more of what I would call a mastery-based approach. That's kind of the old school world of putting it, but basically it means if we test you on this skill and it's kind of color-coded, green or red, you either got it or you didn't. If you didn't get it, we're not done with you, because if those who didn't get it, you're just going on without them. And so then she has introduced reteaching in small group that same week with those children, and then they test them again. And we're seeing huge growth in the number of kids that are showing mastery of more and more skills, which again is just growing toward the goal that we want them all to have. So again, being intentional and letting your data drive instruction, which it's great in theory, but sometimes it's harder in practice if you don't have those monitors in place. What gets measured gets done, and she's been really good at her processes and systems and introducing that to the staff. So they spend a lot of time on those things, talking about curriculum and scope and sequence. And so, also, next Monday is President's Day. who knows what this week's going to bring. I'll talk about that a little bit right now. So here in about 10 minutes, parents are going to get a message through email, text, and phone that tomorrow we may, and it is just a heads up, we may have to call an early dismissal. We are going to monitor the weather because these models are changing a lot, and by 11 a.m. we'll make a decision, but we wanted to give parents tonight, and I think all the schools in Adams County did the same thing, just a heads up that if it looks like the ice that they're predicting, freezing rain tracks to come in, we are probably going to dismiss one a little after 1. So please make arrangements ahead of time if you can on how to get your child or someone to be home to meet your child if they're on the bus. Of course, we're not going to let anyone who shouldn't be going home alone to do that if we can. If there's issues, they just need to contact us and we'll make sure they're safe until someone can get them. But again, want to give families a good bit of hours to be able to contact other people. We're hopeful we can make it through the whole day, but it's sure looking around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock when dismissal would be happening. We could have ice and just don't want to take that chance if it looks at all like we could be getting that. And so then we'll see how that tracks for Thursday, but right now we're hopeful that we can go on Thursday, but we shall see. I guess I would also say if we do get the ice that they're saying, all after-school activities tomorrow would be canceled. That includes our rescheduled Freshman Expo.
No.
That will be pushed back if necessary. Again, stay tuned till next Wednesday. We still have one more week in how the process has to go for scheduling to happen. So we're hopeful because these are about new graduation requirements. We really want to do this in person because there's going to be a lot of questions, I think. And we really just don't want to send a packet home and try to have people have it explained for them. So fingers crossed. Again, there's been a few of these systems that have ended up being nothing.
Yep.
That will be the hope. But if it is something, ICE is something none of us wanted to take any chances on. It's just too dangerous. So again, stay tuned for tomorrow, but prepare today if you need to. Dodgeball, our Decatur Police Department, Mr. Myers is in charge of PBIS, which is our Positive Behavior Intervention Supports program in the elementary, and this has become an annual event where the kids get to play against the teachers and the police officers, and I think the kids slayed them again from what I've heard and seen, so we appreciate them coming in and being willing to do that. That's such a fun day, and the kids get so excited about it and have a lot of, I think, good memories. Donuts for Grown-Ups is happening in April. However, I had the wrong date. I had Good Friday in the district newsletter. It is April 25th, not April 18th. So it's a little ways away. I don't think we messed anyone up too badly, but we will put something out again as it gets closer to that. Pre-K and kindergarten roundup are coming up too. And I put some things in the newsletter about that. Tiffany, do you have anything more?
No. Stay tuned. We're going to be advertising quite a bit for them. Coming up March and April, we'll also have the interest form online like we did last year for those families that are interested.
And part of the reason we wait until March and April to have the roundup part, the in-person meeting, is because if our families think they may qualify for a voucher from On My Way Pre-K or CCDF, those portals don't usually open till then. And so Sarah Anderson, who is our liaison with that program, comes to those meetings and actually will take parents through the sign-up process there on site. And so it is far more efficient to have that availability than having people try to navigate that on their own and not knowing exactly when the portal may open and not be open. So we send out the interest form early, and then we contact those folks and anyone else through social media who may be watching for them to have the in-person meeting a little bit later in the spring. Talked about Freshman Expo. And again, relocation, reunification, we worked on that. I put some things in our district newsletter about that for parent information. Our new SRO, Andy, is working on some opportunities for just increasing the partnership with our local first responders. And so next fall, we are really hoping to be able to have more of a simulation with staff and maybe some student actors, so beware, you might be being asked to come out and help with presence from EMS, fire, and police. Again, besides students who were individually selected with parent permission, it would just be staff and nothing, we're not talking about anything that would be traumatizing. It's just basically walkthroughs for them, for the first responders to get a better idea of how the campus is laid out, the building is laid out, where different folks are. Andy's been trying to get dispatch and our local police in here more often so that they are more familiar with the layout of the building. They all have Centegics on their phones now, so when those alerts go out and it shows where in the building the problem may be, now they kind of are getting a visual picture of where they need to go and what door they would be able to get into the fastest. And we did get all of them keys. Every police officer in Decatur has the ability to access the campus from any door now, which again is just a good safety thing in case of an emergency. So we're continuing to work on that, and Andy's gone and gotten some training in don't text distracted driving, excuse me. So he's going to do some of that training with students ongoing, probably going to try to do it with sophomores next year as they are just the ones that are starting to get their license.
I have a phenomenal video we used to bring in for the students that I think would be
Very impactful.
It's very impactful.
Do share. Thank you. Also, emergency management, you might be hearing.
So I said I kept watching out here, I'm like, yeah.
Busted pipes are coming to my memory. Anyway, emergency management of Adams County is doing one of the mock crashes around prom this year, and they're going to do it at each of the 3 high schools, and so we're excited to have that around probably into April, early May. If you've never seen that, I've been in certain districts that had it years ago, and I think they're kind of resurrecting it now, but it's really a really dramatization of an accident of young people who were on prom night, enjoying themselves, probably engaging in some drinking or something, and anyway, there's an accident. So the stage you come out, the students see is the vehicle crash. They'll get crashed vehicles from a salvage yard. Students, they usually get the paint and the makeup to show all the injuries. There will be someone who passes because of it. They'll bring in first responders that are acting as if they just saw the accident for the first time. They'll bring in the parents of those students who are injured or passed, and you see their reaction. I've even seen it where they bring in the lifeline copters and they'll lifeline someone out. So again, the whole point is to remind students to make wise choices when they're trying to enjoy themselves, and don't let it turn into a tragedy. And so that's exciting, and glad that, and certainly we're proud to partner with emergency management on that as well, and excited to see how that turns out. So lots of things happening in that world. We also, just so you know, in some of the monies that we've been using with some of our GEO bond and then some of the rainy day fund that we had allocated for some projects, Andy went and did get bid or quotes on the shatterproof film to put on all the exterior doors and windows. And so we are doing that over spring break. So those will be around the whole campus on the exterior, all the doors, some windows that are less than 6 foot entry. So that is a positive thing. This is another layer. Again, you're trying to buy minutes, seconds and minutes, if the unthinkable would happen. So those are all things we're excited to report on. I think that's all I have for now.
Okay, lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
Any other matters to come before the board? Board member and or public comments? All right, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.